You know, Nintendo Directs and sex actually have a lot in common. They don't happen that often, but I don't know. I don't have sex. You know, we can all have our opinions on Nintendo games and whether we love them or hate them, or we can talk about their business practices and whether we hate them or despise them. But everyone, and I mean everyone, loves Nintendo Directs. In fact, I'll go so far that I'll say they're one of the greatest things Nintendo has ever created. I mean, that's what I would say until our latest Direct, which has gotten a lot of flack for very good reasons, but was still pretty okay. But due to this Direct, people are now shitting on Nintendo and Directs as a whole for insane reasons. And due to this, I think people need to be reminded about how great Directs really can be and why they're still amazing all these years later. So this is the glass half full, and let me tell you why Nintendo Directs are literally the best thing ever. What's a good video without a little bit of history so everyone is caught up on where exactly these came from? However, if you know the entire history already, just skip to this part of the video. Alright, are you guys ready? Because let's get into a brief history. Back in the Wii and 3DS era, Nintendo wanted to show off a bunch of new games on their systems, but didn't want to release a whole bunch of trailers. So they thought, let's just put all of these in one video. So they did that and called it a Direct. And that's it. That's the entire history. Nice! We're all caught up to speed now. A brief history. Of course, the first Direct would always be a little wonky. It was awfully quiet and just kinda weird. Like there was no spiffy setting or cheery background music. Watching it made me feel like Reggie was in the back rooms for some reason. However, this Direct did give us...
What's wrong with you?
Which I asked myself... every day. So I already think it's a 10 out of 10. Fun fact, originally these weren't called Nintendo Directs. They were called Nintendo Updates. I know, it sounds fucking awful, but it's obvious that these weren't intended to stay. Just a 10 or so minute video reminding everyone. Let's move on to Mario Kart 7. We have no news on it, but it's coming out eventually. Like they never even revealed anything new. And it also just shows in the view count, as well as the Directs now, they didn't intend for them to be a big deal. Especially when they called them Nintendo Updates. Like what a shitty fucking name. So what I'm about to say might seem like a bunch of headcanon, but due to the low budget and how easy they were to make back then, I think Nintendo just ought to make them more often, as they were a great way to see what's happening with their systems without having to wait till E3 to show everything off. Especially at this point of time when the internet, and more specifically YouTube, was really starting to blow up, so the interest to make these kept getting higher. This also worked for Nintendo because at the time, they're making software for two systems, so balancing trailers really benefited them since they can make 3DS or Wii U exclusive Directs or squash them into one big fat showcase. This was cool and all, but it has nothing on June 11th, 2013 E3, aka the day Directs changed Nintendo forever. So like every E3, except for this year, we get a huge blowout of gaming, trailers, releases, and disappointment. But this year was different for Nintendo because instead of doing the whole live presentation they usually do, they went fully digital. Which may not seem like a big deal now, but back then, it was quite the risk to be fair. Especially since it was going to be posted on YouTube. Like, I didn't know Nintendo knew what YouTube was. Sure, Nintendo lost out on the crowd reactions and the feeling of everything being in real time and not just pre-recorded, but these are just so much better than the live presentations. Let me start listing real quick. These pre-recorded live streams can look a lot more professional and avoid the risk of audio cuts or straight up mishaps that can otherwise deter the experience. There's no more absolute cringy moments or awkwardness, so the developers won't have to wait for an applause or laughter, and the jokes can actually land now, which can make the Directs a lot more funny since they're all scripted beforehand. And finally, we may not have crowd reactions, but instead, we have lonely losers reacting at home by themselves with absolutely no one beside them. And I think that's a great substitute. Because come on, E3 tickets are expensive and I'd just rather stay at home. So feel my pain, guys, feel it. And on top of that, E3 2013 was just a great Direct with Pokemon, Mario Kart, 3D World, Wind Waker, all in one. Which looking back on it, wow, we were spoiled. But most importantly of this Direct, Mega Man. Like, Mega Man in Smash isn't that special now, but back then, I can honestly say that his trailer might very well be what birthed the whole reaction side of YouTube. You know, this side that does the whole...
To save the day.
Way is this.
Hi
everyone.
Oh my
name's
fucking
Prologue.
god! Whenever anything comes out. Like, that's a huge stretch, I know, but I think I'm right, and everyone else should also think I'm right. Anyways, to say E3 2013 was anything less than great is an insult, and while the financial side didn't really show that, Nintendo Directs were loved all across the world, so they were here to stay. So Nintendo made a big risk and actually ended up working. It's surprising how Nintendo did such a cool thing online. I know, the term online and Nintendo don't go together, but this time it does. But this was officially known as Nintendo's thing and would only get better over time. For the rest of the Wii U's life cycle, Nintendo always tried to one-up themselves on how cool their directs can be, like making self-contained directs that only revolve around one game, or having a micro direct and in theme having a micro human. And they now have skits that are either really funny or really fucking weird that end up being funny. And also just badass shit like the one time Iwata fought Reggie. I wish I really took it in at the time how fucking bonkers that is. Like, we have two businessmen fully embracing and becoming a meme and having the coolest battle fight scene ever. Like, Dragon Ball is cool and all, but it has nothing on this shit. This is basically the equivalent of if Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk get in a really intense tennis match. There was also a puppet segment. Like, how did you know that puppets and Nintendo were my two favorite things ever? Wow, I live a boring life. Robot Chicken! Nintendo X Robot fucking Chicken! How'd this happen? Why'd this happen? Why is it in our timeline? And it brings one of the greatest scenes in any direct ever when a fan asks Reggie,
"Give us Mother 3!
I'm surprised Nintendo even knows it exists. And Reggie just fucking burns him to death! That's the clip, that's the joke, Reggie commits arson! And then Mother 3 was never mentioned ever again, and I find that pretty funny. So why do I mention Reggie committing manslaughter? So why do I mention these scenes that have nothing to do with the actual games? Well, because they're just fun. Look, we all want to see new info on Splatoon or who's the next Smash character, but these really give life to Nintendo and just makes them stand out compared to the rest of the competition. To enjoy a quick laugh or watch something charming just fits in line with them and adds so much flavor to the directs. Even if the direct isn't that good, like the Puppets one was pretty weak. But again, puppets are cool and furry puppets are even cooler. And these directs become so damn quotable. Like we all know,
My body is ready.
is great and all, but come on.
Directly to you.
What's wrong with you?
And my personal favorite,
Okay, that's all the time I've got. I gotta get back to playing Animal Crossing New Leaf on my Nintendo 3DS.
it just makes it seem that these business millionaire guys are just gamers at heart, and these directs give us a glimpse at how fun these guys can really be, and bro, don't get me started on those
We'll leave you with one final update.
announcements. Like, this thing happens every direct, but it never fails. I always get excited at the pure thought that something new and big is about to be revealed last. It's like opening Christmas gifts. The first few gifts are small, but they build up, and eventually you get to the final big present, and all that anticipation from the direct comes full circle for one last big, huge announcement. Wow, that's a lot of adjectives. So the whole Wii U era of directs were definitely a fun one. It's a shame that Nintendo fumbled so hard with the Wii U, even with these glorious creations, but I think the Switch definitely helped with that. The Switch era of directs were a whole lot better than the Wii U era, but in some ways, also inferior. So let's just get the Dawn fan out of the room first. How the fuck did you get in here? But yeah, there was a significantly less amount of skits or just fun shit Nintendo Directs usually have that just weren't here anymore. You would have the occasional
is the year of the Octolink.
or Bowser being replaced by Bowser, but these moments are very few and far between. Well, actually, that's a lie. Nintendo had the greatest joke of all time in the Switch era when they revealed the Mario movie cast, which I still can't get over. But, and with a very huge but, I don't think Nintendo actually intended for that to be as funny as it was, so I don't know if that counts. To be completely fair though, Iwata's passing was probably a huge reason for this sort of thing to happen, and I do want to touch on it a bit more, but I think I want to hold off on that topic for now and make an entirely new video discussing that and how it relates to a bigger topic I want to talk about. So you could say Nintendo was less relatable than than before. But the directs and reveals themselves? No, that shit got even better and more popular than before. In a span of a year and a half, Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Xenoblade 2, Yoshi's Crafted World, Kirby Star Allies, Metroid Prime 4, Bayonetta 3, and Smash Ultimate were all revealed. So like, say what you want about directs having less personality, but the games certainly make up for it. Like, I need you to really fathom this. Like, go rewatch that March 2018 direct. Like, leave this video if you want and go watch it. No, go watch it right now. Like, right fucking now. What are you doing here? Go watch that fucking direct right now! What you're witnessing right now is called a Nintendo stroke. It happens to us when you dick ride Nintendo way too often. So in conclusion, don't be like this guy. Please, get a life. Man, it's kinda insane the absolute demand for these directs sometimes. Like, remember that absolutely massive drought from directs for some certain reason? Like, in that time, Nintendo won a good too long. We were going absolutely savage, and Nintendo kind of went under for a bit. I think that experience kind of just goes to show that directs were truly a big part of Nintendo. And when it was gone for a while, and perhaps we thought they were gone for good, it made us feel sad. Because we thought we were no longer having these big, awesome game showcases every 3 months like we usually do. We were so hungry for these directs that we made theories and found clues that could maybe indicate the upcoming direct. Like, we were that crazy that we looked at this and was like, so guys, I have very good reasons to believe that not only is a Nintendo Direct coming soon, but will feature F-Zero. So if you look at this image right here, the Switch era had its bad moments and its really weird ones, but I can't say it also isn't a fun ride. Just like how Nintendo influenced other companies with their compelling games in the 90s, they're doing the exact same thing now, but with directs. Like, ever since that 2013 E3, we've seen more and more game companies adapt to this style. Like a bunch of third parties like Square Enix, or Sony and Microsoft making their own directs with a worse name. Hell, E3 might be fully digital in the next couple of years. And the influence has gone so far to even YouTubers making their own directs in the similar style to Nintendo, and every time I see them, I say, this is just like the thing Nintendo does! And this shit is great, because before we only had E3 to really be excited for. A big blowout of games and releases that would only come once a year. And after that, we would get blessed to see a trailer or two on TV every so often. And not even that, but it feels like a whole event or celebration. From the announcement to the speculation to watching the direct itself, it makes me feel happy to experience these kind of moments. Again, we can all have our opinions on Nintendo as a company, but I feel like everyone can agree that directs really are something special to the fans and gaming as a whole. Except for those shitty JRPGs. Jesus Christ, how many are there?